Hi, Vaughn. How are you?
Hey, I'm so sorry. Is it Rachel or Raquel? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's Rachel.
Rachel, lovely to meet you. I'm Vaughn.
Nice to meet you. To start when you have a movie that is based so much in like the mystery of a location and not necessarily the mystery of people, how does that change how you approach filmmaking and like the story as a whole? Because it's the house that's the mystery.
That's a really good question. I think well, it makes scouting vital. It makes finding a great location super important. I think it's also like it's knowing it is knowing the value you're putting on that location, and it's finding something that on a creative and practical level is going to work. And we shot in Portland, Oregon, and we kissed a lot of frogs to find that house, and we just knew it when we arrived. Like there's something when you get off that bus and you stand in front of it. Even before we'd gone in, myself and the producers and the cinematographer, the designer, we were kind of side-eyeing, just like, this feels really good. And I just think the Cellar Door, it has these kind of gothic qualities. Like, it has its roots in the sort of, the dark parables, right? And we needed to find a house that befitted that. We needed to find a house that you could imagine this reclusive millionaire gifting with this one sort of Faustian condition, this one deal with the devil they have to make. So yeah, it was really important to get it right, and we were extremely grateful to the wonderful city of Portland that they had the house. And then for us, it was about being able to like imbue it with character, like make it fit the narrative. Like we worked, once we'd found it, we sort of backed the script into it. We wanted to make sure the room flow worked. We wanted to make sure the design choices that we made in the house made it feel real, as well as, sort of that haunted house on the hill that it needs to be. And yeah, I mean, it's incredibly important. Like when you're making a film like this, where and it sounds so reductive, like, location as a character, like it was vital, and we got very lucky, and we had a great location manager.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna say you mentioned kind of like the gothic nature of it, and I think the last time we had a movie where it was like the house itself was such a character was like Crimson Peak, which and it was set in like a Gotham place. So like when you're doing a story like that in a modern through a modern lens with a modern storyline and cast and everything, does that change the way you're telling this story? Because we do have different modern sensibilities that like when we tell like these kind of haunted house esque stories and it's set in a Gotham setting, not Gotham, Gothic setting, we don't
I like Gotham.
necessarily have to worry about it or Gotham.
Yeah, yeah, but, yeah. It's tricky. I mean, I think for us for the filmmakers involved in this, like, there is the element of the dark fairy tale to Cellar Door, right? It is a tale as old as time. This story of like temptation, like it goes back to the Garden of Eden, that Faustian bargain. That, it runs through literature, it runs through movies. Like, it's a wonderful trope to play with, but we wanted to make something that felt contemporary, like genuinely modern. And we wanted this to be a film, a story about marriage, about grief, about deceit. And that was the thing for us, like balancing those two disparate elements was, I mean, look, I was so blessed. I had this unbelievable cast in Scott and Jordana and Lawrence to for me to stand on their shoulders and call myself tall. But an amazing set of department heads who were able to kind of create a house that, yeah, on one level needed to serve as, like, the sort of, yeah, the gothic haunted house, but also needed to feel real. It needed to feel like a place a family lived. And we made a lot of very conscious design choices and cinematography choices that I hope were able to give an audience a sense of those two things being blended, the sort of the dark parable and the modern contemporary psychological thriller.
Yeah, and I do have to ask because I'm a Matrix nerd, and you cast Lawrence Fishburne as somebody who has the information that people need. And it's just, well, that's kind of his vibe for a lot of fans is like, well, yeah, if we need answers to some weird mystery, Lawrence Fishburne's gonna have them. When you were going through the casting, was that always kind of on your mind that people are gonna be like, yet again, he's the guy who has to tell all of these people what's going on?
I mean, firstly, like, we've referenced Crimson Peak and The Matrix, so like I'm so down for this conversation. I can't tell you, they're like in easily in my top 20, both of them. Anyway, um, It's a really good point. I think when you work with actors who are as unique and distinctive as Lawrence, like there is a track record, there is this incredible like this back catalogue that goes before them. But I think the beauty of someone like Lawrence, and he's this world-class actor, he's so giving, he's so warm, he's so easy to work with. Like he's there in service to the story. He's there to be a part of the cast and part of the crew. And look, the thing about that part about Emmett is that it needed to feel eminently plausible. We needed this reclusive billionaire, like making this mad Faustian offer to this young bereaved couple, and we needed to make it feel real. It needed to feel plausible to the audience for it to work. And to have someone like Lawrence, who is so charismatic and such a wonderful actor, like who can be charming and suave, but just have this kind of coldness in his eye at the same time, to have this sort of this this devilish quality, like he was able to do so much heavy lifting in such a precise way. Like, yeah, I mean, it was a real dream come true to have him in that role. It was perfect. It was an amazing piece of casting. He wouldn't sit in a wingback chair in a leather jacket though, for some reason. I don't know why.
He's like, I won't be doing that, and I won't be talking to Keanu Reeves
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
subway station with some birds. Not doing that one either. But I also like, I don't know why Scott Speedman is suddenly like everyone's husband all of a sudden, because he's also on Teacup and now he's husband. I'm like, he's back and he's just husbands. But I do love that Jordana Brewster is getting to show a different side of herself, because so many of us are used to her in the Fast and the Furious movies, and when you get to see her take on thrillers and things like this, it's always kind of a fun departure when you are working with these two actors who, like I said, Scott Speedman's also in a mystery thriller show that's coming out, but then this is a kind of a fun departure for Jordana. What for you was the best part of like getting to show audiences something different with the two of them?
I think for me, like I love counter casting. It's something I look to do in my films. Like I've been pretty successful with it. I think like through the films I've made, I love being surprised by actors. And I think the thing is when you have someone like Jordana, like she is a world-class actress. She can do so much in a moment. Like it is incredible to watch. It's incredible. It's a privilege to direct. And she was just so brilliant. I think she's unbelievable in the movie. And she's her she's so hardworking. She's so disciplined in her approach. She's really warm. Like the cast love her, crew love her. Like, but she can turn in a moment. Like there are moments of that her character's like very warm, very funny, very gentle, and then there are moments that she has this coldness. She has this sort of devilish drive in her, and it's all in the eyes. Like she was brilliant, and I loved seeing her do something different. Like I knew she could do it. I knew it because she's a brilliant actor, but to actually be a part of it, it was my privilege to direct her. And I think Scott's completely the other end of the spectrum narratively. Like you've got these two characters, this bereaved couple who suffer this miscarriage, and they arrive at this house and they make their deal with the devil, and then Sarah's character, Jordana's character, sorry, Sarah, she blossoms. She flourishes like that. She's made her peace with the promise she's made, and she grows. She's nurtured by the house. Like, and we made choices in makeup and hair and costume and design that reflected that. But for Scott, it's the complete opposite. Not knowing what's in the cellar, not being able to open that cellar door, it drives him nuts. Like, and he becomes paranoid, he becomes deceitful, things happen in his external life, like that, as it begins to crumble, as allegations mount up, as lies come to the front. And that to be able to see one character kind of do this and one character do this like simultaneously in this marriage that's disintegrating, you need amazing actors to pull that off. Like, and we really set ourselves a very strong like kind of want to not let this kind of fall into melodrama. We wanted it to feel real. We wanted them to be characters an audience would understand and empathize with and be on the journey with. And yeah, they did so much in those moments. Like, what Jordana and Scott were able to do with a look, or the way they threw a line, the way they said something, the way they turned their head or hid behind their hair. Yeah, it was just, you can't ask for more as a director. Like that's what elevates it. Casting takes it is the pixie dust that you just can't capture. And when you're there, when you're shooting, like on the day, and you're like, fucking, excuse me, sorry, you're like, yeah, like this is it. This is it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for everyone to get to see Cellar Door, and thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, it's all my pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great one.